I'd like to call the highway.
There you are. I can see you all again.
I'd like to call the Highway and Buildings Committee meeting for September 10th to order. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kinzinger,
Present.
Mr. Long,
Present.
Mr. Hess, Mr. Tholen, Ms. Polk,
Present.
Mr. Snipes, Ms. Peters,
Present.
Mr. Zenz, Ms. Haas,
Present.
Mr. Carrico, Mr. Eckhoff, Mr. Featherling,
Hello?
Mr. Smith, Mr.
Didn't call
Dunnell.
my name. Can't hear you, Kelly.
Okay, we got you, John.
Did you call my name?
Yes. Mr. Dunnell,
Present.
Mr. Kirkstra,
Present.
Mr. Hunter,
Here.
Mr. Wheeler,
Present.
Mr. Seroy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I have no requests for public comment. Are there any requests? We'll move to approval of the minutes. I'll need a motion for the approval
So
of
moved.
August 13th. Featherling moves.
Polk.
Polk seconds. We have to do a roll call vote on that too? Go ahead, Kelly.
Ms. Polk,
Present.
Ms. Peters,
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Haas,
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff. He's still on mute. Mr. Featherling,
Here. Hi.
Mr. Dunnell,
Hi.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye. Oh, it's me? We're all,
the rest of it.
oh, okay. All those in the room in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Mr. Rogers, you have, I'd like a motion to open the bids. Do I have? Mr. Long?
Peters. Polk.
Peters seconds. Ms. Peters?
We gotta do it again.
Start over. All those in favor, we have a motion on the floor to open the bids. We have a motion and a second, so now we need another roll call vote, please.
Want me just to do them all?
Hmm?
Want me just to do everybody?
Try it.
By roll call? Okay, Mr. Kinzinger,
Aye.
Mr. Long,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
Aye.
Ms. Peters,
Aye.
Ms. Haas,
Aye.
Mr. Carrico,
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff,
Hi.
Mr. Featherling,
Hi.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Dunnell,
Hi.
Mr. Kirkstra,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Present.
Did you lose me? I don't hear anything, see anything.
No, nothing's
I'm blacked
happening.
out here. I hear nothing. There we are.
Nothing's happening. We're opening the bids.
Okay.
Don't
Okay,
worry,
good
Steve,
morning.
we won't forget you.
The first bid I have is from Philip.
Cat keeps
Priscilla?
overriding your picture.
Point of order, can we keep the talking down? This is broadcast live.
You get a blank
Hey, everybody
screen with a telephone
on
it.
everybody on the internet, let's keep the talking to a minimum. We're broadcast live. Mr. Rogers, you have the floor.
Okay. We're opening the proposals today for the surplus equipment. The first bid I have is from a Philip Fasella, F-I-S-C-E-L-L-A. He bid on item number 1, the truck. His bid is $17,851.00. He bid on the snowplow, item number 2, $251. And item number 3, the salt spreader, $201. Nope. So item number 5, the push mower, $40.
Same bidder?
Same bidder. $20 for item number 4, floor jacks. And $10 for item number 6, the shop vac. Second bidder is Colin Provost. He bid on the truck, item number 1, $3,000. Next bidder is Steve Emmy. Item number 1, $13,727.89. $13,727.89. Next bidder is Tina Deathridge. Item number 7, the conference table, $20. And last is Corby Kloss. And Corby's bid on item number 1 is $11,253.00. So if the committee doesn't mind, I will take these numbers back and discuss that with our shop foreman to see if that minimum, the $17,851 is high enough for the truck, and everything else should go.
So we should entertain a motion that we will sell, assuming that you guys approve the price
Yes.
for the truck.
Yes.
So I would entertain a motion that we will sell all of this if they approve the $17,851 bid for the truck. Mr. Carrico moves.
Mr.
Second.
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Zerois.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you seconding that motion? There's a motion
No,
on.
no, sir. I would like to ask Mr. Rogers a question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
After the motion.
After the,
Mark-
we have a motion, we have a motion on the floor. I need a second, then you'll be
Okay.
welcome to ask. Is there a second? Mr. Kirks? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Zerois.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rogers, what is the trade-in value to that truck? Are you going to purchase any new trucks in the next coming year?
No, we're not going to trade this one in.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor to sell all this equipment with the exception of the truck, which will be subject to approval by the maintenance department as to if it's a minimum bid, if the minimum bid's acceptable. That make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kinzier,
Aye.
Mr. Long,
Aye.
Ms.
Is there a
Polk?
question?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes,
Aye.
Ms. Peters,
Aye. Question?
Ms. Haas,
Aye.
Mr. Carrico,
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff,
Aye.
Mr. Featherling,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Dunnell,
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Hunter, you had a question that either I may have missed, but we're in the middle of
Yeah.
voting. Go ahead.
No problem, no problem. You know, the proceeds of will they go back into that particular department or general fund?
These go into the highway funds from which they were purchased.
Okay, so what you're saying, those proceeds will go back, not general fund, but to the highway fund, is that what you're saying?
That's
I
correct.
couldn't quite hear you.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers.
Last thing on the agenda for me is the county engineer's pay estimates. The first one I have this morning is for our 2020 general maintenance for the county supplement 3. This is payable to Grasso Construction Company for oil and chip work that's been going on in the county. That amount is $244,796.60. Next is for our 2020 County General Maintenance Supplement 4. This is a final pay estimate to Hammond Wagner Excavating, and that amount is $42,453.54. Next is for our County General Maintenance for 2020 Supplement 1. This is payable to MD Solutions for delineator posts, and that amount is $1,766.00. Next is for our County General Maintenance for 2020. This is payable to Vulcan Materials. This is for road mix and chips picked up at the quarry with our trucks, and that amount is $6,781.99. Next is Junior Road District for their 2020 general maintenance. This is payable to Grasso Construction Company, and that amount, this is for oil and chip work done in the township, and that amount is $32,278.96. Next is Moments Road District for their 2020 general maintenance. This is payable to Grasso Construction Company for road and oil and chip work done in the township, and that amount is $7,265.32. Next is Moments Road District for their 2020 General Maintenance Supplement 1. This is payable to Grasso Construction Company for oil and chip work done in the township, and that amount is $35,892.90. Next is Norton Township Road District for their 2020 General Maintenance Supplement 1. This is payable to Hammond Wagner Excavating, and that amount is $88,250.98. Next is Pilot Township Road District for their 2020 General Maintenance Supplement 1. This is payable to Hammond Wagner Excavating, and that amount is $91,426.04. Next is Rockville Road District for their 2020 General Maintenance. This is payable to VCNA Prairie Materials, and this is for road mix picked up at the quarry with their trucks, and that amount is $4,558.63. And last is Otto Township Road District for their 2020 general maintenance. This is payable to Vulcan Materials, and that is for road mix picked up at the quarry with their trucks, and that amount is $1,943.83.
I need a motion to pay these estimates. Mr. Kirkstra and Ms. Polk will second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kinzinger,
Aye.
Mr. Long,
Aye.
Ms. Polk,
Aye.
Mr. Snipes,
Aye.
Ms. Peters,
Aye.
Ms. Haas,
Aye.
Mr. Carrico, Mr. Eckhoff,
Aye.
Mr. Featherling,
Aye.
That's fine.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Dunnell,
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra,
Aye.
Mr. Hunter,
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler. Motion carries.
Thank you. We have no resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you.
Mr. Andrews. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. All right, first item on the agenda is the facility dude report for the month of August. We had 195 work orders in the system. That's a very busy month. Moving on to the financial report that you have in front of you there. You can look year-to-date fiscal year 20. We're at 698,903 versus 630,119 last year. Couple things I'll call out on this. We're up $47,327 in payroll expense this year. Most of that is due to the, well, actually half of that is due to custodians, 2 new hires at the courthouse. We're up $16,790 on the maintenance employees as well. So if you add up the expenses under the personnel, we're up $47,327. So if you subtract that off, we're still up $21,457 over this time last year. And obviously some of that can be attributed to line item 56,850, where we're at $28,639 versus $17,000 the previous year. And some of that is going to be COVID-related supplies that were purchased this year.
Is some of the help, I mean, some of the labor due to COVID and hiring for keeping things clean?
Yeah, we've got more people, yeah.
Thank you.
One expense I'll call out that's going to hit this next month. We upgraded the UPS system for JCDC Phase 1 that serves master control and other critical systems out there. That's going to hit $87,510. So we're looking at $7,000 there now. So by this time you can add $8,000 to that. Coming, you'll see it on next month's financial report. So are there any questions on the financial report?
Mr. Wheeler?
Just a comment, keep in mind that those 2 positions that he spoke of, plus the supplies, we submitted for reimbursement from the CARES or CURES, I can't remember which one of the grants from the feds. And so we're trying to get that to hit before the end of November. So it's in this budget year. You won't see it in here, but there'll be a revenue line added. Typically, there's not a revenue line on maintenance, but you know, we'll tie that in, whether it goes right back to the general fund, but just know that part of that will be wiped away when we start to hold Wes accountable to his budget number next year.
If we receive the money, there'll be a revenue item.
Okay, that's a good point. It's an if. It's still an if.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Royce.
just to piggyback on what Mr. Wheeler said, portions of Wes's salary should be reimbursed because this has added more workload to him also. So we should try to get portions of his salary as the maintenance director, you know, to add on to that reimbursement.
That can be taken under advisement, but it's going to be a higher pay grade than you or me. I'm not certain how that works.
It's easy to get a higher pay grade than me.
Yeah, me too.
Well, as long as we're on this topic,
I see what you've done. Let's go on with the report.
I guess we're going to move on.
Yeah, move on.
All right, we'll go on to the building report here at 189. I've been working with most of what I've been doing lately is stuff with the insurance company related to storm damage on August 10th. We talked about most of that at last month's meeting. The IT room, air conditioning is approved. We still run it on the temporary units. Obviously, the insurance company wants those out of there as soon as possible because every day they're in there is adding to the overall expense of the claim. So I got the approval early this week, or at the end of last week. I gave the appropriate go-aheads to the vendor that's working on the project. So that is moving forward. The elevator, still working with the insurance company on that. We have 2 options. Not sure which route we're going to go yet on the elevator. Obviously, we only have one that's damaged, but the 2 elevators talk to each other. So with one being damaged and having to repair the damaged one, given the aged equipment, there could be an issue with those elevators talking to one another if they can't find the proper parts and the communication equipment, if you will, for the 2 elevators. So I'm working on that right now with the insurance company. The courthouse, we're working on, there's some antennas on top of the courthouse. One of them is bent. I'm working with a vendor. I think this week he's actually going to go out and we're going to remove the antennas from the top of the courthouse. I've talked to all the appropriate people. Those antennas are not being used anymore. So they're up there, they can come down as long as we got somebody going up to remove the damaged one. There's 2 smaller ones up there. We're just going to take those down as well. So let's see, compressor replace, something we've been talking about for the last several months with the temperatures cooling down. I'm going to schedule to get the compressor replaced. That's the compressor on the east side of the courthouse. And then just cleaning. We talked about the 2 additional custodians. You know, I'm over there daily. I'm speaking to, you know, several of the judges in the building, checking in with them, making sure everything's satisfactory. And the word I get from the judges and the bailiffs is the place looks great inside and out. So the 2 people that we have over there that we hired are doing an excellent job, and to date there's been no complaints regarding, you know, anything from a cleanliness standpoint at the courthouse. So I'm happy to report that. Annex and old jail. Old jail is just more of the same. I mean, every day there's plumbing repairs, sewer issues, light bulbs. You know, I've got one guy that's basically all he does is work on those sort of repairs, and it's every day. Roof is completed. If you remember the roof on Ground Southwest, we talked about that at this committee meeting a couple months ago. That is now complete. We had some damage that was uncovered with our chiller system at the old jail, and the vendor attributed it to the storm on August 10th. There's 4 compressors that run our chiller at the old jail. Not all 4 run at the same time unless it's needed. So this fall, when we had some high temps, it was calling for all 4 compressors to run, and only 2 of them would run. So there's an issue there with one of the compressors. It's 2 years old. We put that in right when I got here. So the vendor worked with the insurance company. The insurance company has agreed that it's storm damage. So we're working on getting that replaced as well. So that's something that'll be done here soon. Out at Jerome Combs, we've got another issue with a Sallyport door. Those doors go up and down quite a bit. The barrel and spring broke out there, looking at about $7,000 to get that repaired or replaced. So that's something I'm working on now. There's a lead time on that part, so the North Sallyport door is going to be down for a little while. I've communicated with Chief Kalawenzu. He's aware, and they're working around that until we can get that fixed. LED project update, we're ready to get moving on that. I've got some emails actually right now that I have to respond to set meetings to get the project going. We're going to start out at Jerome Combs, so that's something that this fall, that's probably going to take up quite a bit of my time working on that LED project, and that's at basically all the buildings except here: courthouse, annex, old jail, and Jerome Combs public safety. Phase 1, the UPS is done. We talked about that at last month's meeting. The Surelight inverter system that we talked about, that's done as well. So those are 2 big improvements that I can cross off my list. And to that point, you know, 2020 has been the year of improvements, if you will. I mean, between the courthouse, you know, the front steps, the concrete, the ADA courtroom, the ADA ramp, sidewalks, curbs, the South Drive. We've been power washing the exterior of the courthouse. We've been painting railings. We've been painting light poles. You know, a lot of work being done at the courthouse. Out at Jerome Combs, we had a $300,000 camera upgrade that was done out there as a result of storm damage. So that is a huge upgrade that has kind of gone under the radar, so to speak, because it's not as visible. And then the UPS system, which I just talked about, the Surelight inverter system, you know, so I'm working on, I talked to Andy, I'm working on a presentation that'll hopefully be ready at next month's board meeting to just kind of give an overview of everything that's been done this year. It's significant, and I think it's something that I'm certainly proud of, and hopefully everybody in this room is proud of as well, because there's been a lot of time and effort and energy put into you know, these upgrades at various buildings. So that's something that I'm not as tech savvy as I used to be, so I'm working on it. Chairman Wheeler said he'd help me with it if need be, so hopefully by next month I'll have that done. So there's any other questions, I'll take them.
Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Andrews? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Oh, Mr. Wheeler.
Sorry, like Columbo. One more thing. Sorry, I just dated myself. I noticed something coming in today. Somebody tagged the front of the building. Spray paint. Did you see that?
No, I come in the back, so
Okay, I just noticed it in the front. Sorry to say that now, but I just popped into my head. I should let you know.
Okay.
It looks like it might have been there for a few days, but just check it out if you would, right on the marble in the front. So,
Okay.
The $400,000 for the courthouse, just to let this committee know. Representative Parker's got the governor to put $400,000 in to future programming for the courthouse upgrades, repairs. It's brick and mortar. That has been scheduled for 21 budget year for the state. So the mid-year, I believe that their state budget starts in July 1st, I believe. So that's when it would be 21 budget years, pretty much on the road. So we're going to sit down and talk. I'll get Anita and Wes, and we're going to go talk to the chief judge and the sheriff to talk about that building and figure out what's our priorities list. We already have a list of things that are issues, but how does that fit into our overall plan? So we'll be bringing that back to this committee to kind of talk about, because this is the decision-making body, but we want to come with recommendations for those who live there, so to speak, and then what our priorities are in that building. It's 100 years old, so we need to address, and we have some other issues. It looks fantastic. We're up to ADA standards, which is no small endeavor. If those people that were here 4 years ago or 5 years ago know that I guess the strategy that was deployed at the behest of the state's attorney is don't respond to the letters from the attorney general. That didn't work out too well. So we decided to actually work with them, and we got done with everything that needed to be done. And the community wants that building to be a centerpiece, because it is. It's gorgeous. We've got the Historical Preservation Commission's looking at a landscape architect to maybe bring it back to what the landscaping was historically, where the trees were. I mean, we're paying attention to the things that need to be paid attention to. And Wes, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that dedication. So next year's not going to slow down, is what I'm getting at. So,
I don't get a breather.
Hold on.
Me.
Thank you. Excellent report. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Mr. Rogers, see if that one's on.
Yeah, I checked with our maintenance department, and we will accept that bid for the truck, so it will be sold.
Thank you. Is there any old business to come before this committee? Yes, Mr.
Not
Snipes.
old, but to kind of piggyback off of Andy, I know that there's a shortage of courtrooms. I don't know, at least by one, maybe two, I don't know, but I know at least by one. Is there any space in that courthouse other than building an addition up at the rotunda, no, that we can possibly even consider at this point in time?
If I could, we've probably still on.
Should be on. Yes.
There's nothing that can be done in the courthouse currently for another courtroom because they're under Supreme Court standards. So those are set by obviously the Supreme Court, and the chief judge administers those rules. So previous space needs analysis have documented we have 10 judges, 9 courtrooms. We need to find another courtroom. Obviously, the judges are not very happy about that. It's part of an overall plan, is why we approve the strategic planning phase of figuring out how much space we need, not just in this building, but in the courthouse and probation, looking at everything for the next 20 years. So we have to have a plan before we can try to execute on something and then determine if there's funding available for that. So to answer your question, it was a long answer to a short question, but yes, that's part of the plan, to be able to figure out all of the space needs. Jury assembly, we had a major problem in the basement. Circuit clerk's office, they're sitting on top of each other basically like a submarine. I mean, it's a 100-year-old building that was built for a different standard. So we're trying to figure out how to utilize that with other opportunities that may exist. So.
Is there any other old business? Mr. Kirkster.
Yes, in our last meeting, this also refers back, is going back to the new plans that we had, that we're trying to get together for
Right,
for
exactly.
expansion and rejuvenation.
Yeah.
In that resolution meeting, the comment was made that maybe somebody should contact somebody from the Will County who have been going on the same project and same processes. And I did make some contact with a few people that were involved in that. And as far as the evaluation was concerned, they were very happy and very satisfied. And it proved to be very helpful to have that evaluation done for uses. And the projects that they have and have been and are working on and have finished, they're very happy with everything that's been done.
Are you referring to that space needs thing that we talked about last time?
That is correct.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And I wish I wanted to try to contact you earlier, but unfortunately with the COVID thing, the only thing I've had was telephone conversations and not an in-person.
Sure.
Which I wanted to try to get before I presented.
They should have something back for us to consider, I think, by the next meeting or before. Is that true?
That's what we were shooting for.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
And then it's basically, this is what, the meeting we had via Zoom was to narrow the scope, let them know, we don't want a bunch of money spent on new development of space needs, because we've already spent money on that stuff. Just incorporate that all into one master plan. And then to try to keep the dollar amount down as much as possible, so we can have a roadmap and then start figuring out, and then we'll prioritize. This will help us prioritize, but then what's attainable, what's not.
Right.
It's not to build new, it's to be able to reuse and take advantage of.
Right.
Because we don't have $290 million like Will County did for a courthouse or whatever that was. I think that's the number.
I think the biggest point of it was those issues that you have right there.
Mm-hmm.
They were very upfront and forward and worked together with them with what their plan was and what they had, what they could afford, and so on and so forth. And as I said, granted, they may have more money than us, but they were still very satisfied with the plan and the scope of work that was done.
Keep those notes, because we'd like to hear it next month, where when that presentation comes forward, it may help those sitting on the fence to go the other way.
Okay, I will, sir.
Okay.
And I'm still endeavoring to try to get a personal site hands-on view of just exactly what was going on. I've got some paperwork that was done to some presentations that they had for some of the buildings that they did rejuvenate and evaluate spaces and so on and so forth, but there's nothing like seeing exactly what was done to
Very good.
really give you a good picture.
We'll get their report.
Yes.
Any new business come before this committee? Any other business?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, in honor of your predecessor, Mr.
Yes,
Jess,
in honor of my predecessor, and I don't see
had a lot of respect for and still have a lot of respect for. What do you have for us?
And I don't see Mr. Hess here, so I'll take his place too. And make a motion, we move to adjourn.
Is there a second to that motion, Mr.?
Peters.
Put one of them down. We'll do a roll call vote, not a roll call vote. We're gonna do an aye vote here and an aye vote by Zoom. On Zoom, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed on Zoom who wish to continue, say aye. Motion carried with Zoom. Those in the room, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.